Hey, this is Andy Wilson, and we're going to talk about designing things for conversions, and that's basically fancy talk for how to design anything, whether it's a website or in an advertisement, like a newsfeed ad or like a postcard that goes out in the mail. You can really use it to design more or less anything, because it's just one design idea that revolves around a really simple concept, and that concept is this. Your reader's eyes are trained to move about the page in a certain way when they see an ad or a piece of paper or screen or whatever it is. And this actually applies to Western audiences. This wouldn't work if your prospects are Korean or Japanese, because they've been trained to scan pages differently. But it all basically comes down to this Z shape right here. You'll notice that there's this Z shape, and the corners are labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you sort of see this red pathway. This is more or less what someone's eyes do to any ad that they see, any page, any screen. They more or less scan the page 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you want to do is make sure to put important points of crucial information along points 1, 2, 3, and 4, but also most importantly this top line and this bottom line. And I'm going to show you how other people do that, just so you can kind of get an idea. Take a look. This was a newsfeed ad by Wix, and we're only going to focus on this part. We aren't going to focus on the copy or anything like that. But what I want you to notice is, let's do the Z shape. Well, right here, do-it-yourself website. Website is bolded, so it more or less provides context for everything else that the viewer then sees or their brain more or less processes. When we go to the right to point number 2, we have this cute little guy who's pointing in a Z direction this way. And so as you can see, we have the crucial information on that first line of the Z, and then I want to point out this little browser here. This thing could have been a rectangle. They could have drawn it like this, but they didn't. They tilted it so it actually forms more of a Z shape. And then on this third line, see more or less how everything about this ad, like this line lines up with this, lines up with this. More or less that it's just really easy for your eyes to move about this ad and absorb all the information it needs to absorb. We're going to look at a few more examples in different mediums. This is John Carlton's blog, and I just wanted to point out a few things that are a little subtle that you might not have realized. And it also goes along with this Z principle. So we're going to start up here, and I want you to notice how the text kind of connects to each other. See how this T goes to the R, and then even to this T, how it's all more or less connected to keep your eyes moving to the right. And then when this line ends, red text begins, right? And then once that ends, basically this right here connects with this like angel and the heart. And it all moves in a way where if you go up, and it still makes that Z shape, just kind of like that little guy with Wix. How there's a thing in the upper right that more or less points it down to the left like a Z. We have the same thing going here. And we even have a drop, a red drop at the end, which is if you want someone's eyes to be drawn to something, make it red. And this goes right to the opt-in to get the new report. And this is, they basically his opt-in offer on his blog. Just real subtle things you can do that aren't fancy, aren't really hard to put into action, but just make a difference. This is I actually have basically no idea what this is. This is a lead page template, obviously, that I pulled off just a sidebar ad off of Facebook. So I don't know anything about these guys other than their ad popped up in my Facebook. But again, you can see that the lead page template keeps in mind this rule of Z, how it has the headline up here more or less for the presentation. As you move to the right, you see the presenters. And hopefully these faces will more or less be trust triggers, basically something that triggers the trust of whoever's reading or looking at this screen, because they should hopefully identify with one of these people because it's their list or something. And then as we come down, the date right here in the corner, and then the call to action is along the bottom line. Again, like this is why, like when you look at something and you think it looks clean, this is usually why it looks clean, is because it follows this Z axis, this really simple idea. let's take a look at this supplement label called No Explode. It's a pre-workout supplement. And even on the label, the new formula tag, in fact, the first, like the highest piece of information, like on the label, is right here in the upper left in that #1 spot. And then as we come around, there's nothing over here, but you will notice that this little bar right here, again, encourages the eye, I guess it's like this little Saturn's disc or whatever, encourages the eye to move down, where they have this blue, it would be the #3 spot on the axis. You know, it's #3 spot in the lower left-hand corner. And if you keep going to the right, there you have the dietary supplement, but also all the benefits on the label are along the bottom line and also around this #4 spot on the Z, which I'll bring up just to remind you. Notice how there's more or less information, crucial information in every one of those spots except for 2 in this specific example. And we're going to take a look at Muscle Farm. We're going to zoom in a lot. And I want you to just take a look again in the upper left. They have the brand, and then the it's sort of, I guess, a sponsor or more branding. And then on #2, they make the Z, and then on the bottom, all the benefits right there on that bottom axis. We're going to look at one ad right now that is not so good, and it's a real estate advertisement. And I found it just randomly off the internet. I just Googled real estate advertisement, and this is what came up. And someone charges realtors charges them money to make ads like this. And I mean, if we follow the axis 1, we have this up here, which the success quote, which has basically nothing to do with real estate. And then nothing in the #2 spot. The #3 spot is a little interesting to me because they do have this message down here, but since this grabs your eye, like this dominates your attention, you almost don't get to this corner. And it's almost like this point here and this point here are competing with each other for your attention. And you see how this is more or less the exact opposite of what you want to do. Like, you don't want different points of the page or the advertisement to compete for the attention. You want it to be more or less understand how their eyes are going to pay attention anyways, and then work just along those lines. And yeah, that's it. Just do that, and you more or less will be fine.